network, and I look forward to this conversation. So, Fatma, thank you so much for joining. It's such a pleasure and a delight to host you today. Welcome.
Thank you, Minnie. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, that's wonderful. Fatma has an impressive bio that I'm going to be reading to introduce her before we get into the conversation. So, Fatma Nadir is a trusted realtor serving the Greater Toronto area with a decade of experience helping buyers, sellers, and investors build wealth through real estate. Known for her strategic approach, market expertise, and client first philosophy, Fatma is passionate about turning real estate into reality. Beyond real estate, Fatma is the founder of Take Ease Virtual Services that supports busy professionals with streamlined business solutions. And she's the co founder and chair of Biashara Africa Business Club, of which I happen to be a member. And in her role, she champions entrepreneurship, collaboration, and economic empowerment. Fatma is also a recipient of the Canada International Black Women Award, recognized as one of the top 100 Black women to watch. We're so delighted to have you, Fatma, with all this experience and recognition that you bring. And she's dedicated to making a lasting impact through leadership, mentorship, and community building. Welcome again, Fatma. What a delight to have you.
Minnie, thank you.
My pleasure. So now let's get into it. This is going to be a conversation where we get to know a bit more about Fatma, what she's doing, her career journey, how she's transitioned, how she is settling in, how she's navigating, building a thriving career in Canada. So, Fatma, let's start off perhaps from what I might call the beginning, but not really the beginning. Share with us how your career journey has been so far.
Hmm. All right. So, my career journey here in Canada started totally different from where I am today. So,
Mm,
when I came here into Canada, I had a accounting background. I have a Bachelor of Commerce. So that's how I came in, knowing that that's where I'm going to be working. Um, Within few months of being here, I started I registered myself with the agency just to find a job. And It was an accounting agency. Ended up with a retail company where they had hired, they needed help for to somebody to fill in for somebody who had gone on maternity leave. So that's where I started. Um, I worked there for like 3 months, and then they liked what I was doing, and they asked me to stay, and I got hired on a full-time permanent basis after that. So that's how I started working. However, I did have an accounting background. So at the time of hire, he asked me, since you have an accounting background, do you want to go into the accounting department, or would you like to stay where you are? And me being a person that is service oriented, I enjoyed working with people on the fields, talking to the managers, processing the payroll, the benefits, that there was more interactions. Whereas if I went to accounting, which was what I was planning on doing for my life and career, I don't know how I would have survived. But I was like, no, 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 I'm okay here. I like being here. So that's where I started and the company ended up, or the CFO actually, they paid for my studies, but he encouraged me to go in and take the payroll certifications and all that. So that's how I ended up working in payroll for the next 14 years after that. Yeah,
wow, 14 years. You
14
must have
years.
really enjoyed being in that role.
Well, it was good, as I say. It was lots of interactions, and for the most part, I worked with in the retail uh, companies. So I was dealing with people, solving problems every day, you know. I ended up taking all the certifications that there was for the payroll up till the payroll manager position. Ended up growing into a managerial position and senior payroll specialist positions. And I liked that I was having interactions. I was working with the numbers, but at the same time working with people and
That's
servicing them.
amazing.
So yeah.
So you were able to find something that was fulfilling to you personally, and you were able to navigate the position. Sound like you had several promotions within those 14 years. And so
Mm.
now I'm curious to know how did you and what prompted the transition from accounting into real estate, which you are obviously really thriving in right now?
Yeah. So I guess that the transition is interesting part because I always loved real estate. Always, even when I was in Kenya, back home in Kenya, I was thinking, I'd love to buy properties where I can rent out and all that. So my mindset was already real estate, a real estate investor mindset from back home. But when I came here, you're just on survival mode, as many of us, all it takes was I need to upgrade my studies, go into technical, accounting software because I didn't come with that, and get a job and get your certification. There's so many things were going on at that time. All I needed was to settle myself in. um, had a family. I had my two boys now to take care of. So that kind of was put on the side, forgotten about it. Um, but it's resurfaced again. It's resurfaced when my younger one was perhaps one year old. I was home at that time because I'm on maternity for a year. Then I started going back into real estate, and I was going in going into networking events for
Mhm.
investors, and I just wanted to be there to learn, and I enjoyed being there. And I remember even at that time learning about the rent to own. Uh, and I was so excited. And I came home, and my husband stayed home with the kids while I was going to, get more information about real estate because that's what I wanted to do. So I come home and said, you know what? There's this rent to own. Do you know if we do this as investors through rent to own, do you know how many people we can help get into homes? Meanwhile, we were just newly homeowners ourselves. But it was
Yeah.
just the excitement of how can I use real estate to help other people? And this was it. And I will tell you one thing, I was surrounded by realtors, I was surrounded by mortgage brokers. At that time, I didn't think of being a real estate agent. I was thinking of being an investor and how am I going to help other people get into homes, and rent to own seemed to be a win-win situation for everyone involved. And that's what I was excited about. In fact, they were selling a product that I didn't even have money for to purchase. I
Mhm.
borrowed $800 to buy that course that they were selling because I just loved the concept. So
Hmm.
I continued going into such areas, meeting people, talking about real estate, learning, and all that. And eventually, as luck would have it, got to meet somebody who introduced me to a friend who said she's working part-time as a realtor. And I said, "What? You can do that? You can do that?" She goes, "Yeah." It's like, okay. And that was it. That was the light bulb that changed everything and changed my course. Because at that point, I was my kids are older now, And I think it was possibly 2014, I think, at that time. And
Hmm.
I thought about it. I prayed about it. I
Yeah.
was very, very careful because it was meaning I'm changing everything. And I
Yeah.
questioned myself. I said, Fatma, you've been doing payroll for 14 years. And as I'm doing payroll and I'm processing people's salaries, I'd say, it would be nice to earn this. It would be nice to earn that. And and I had reached that point. And
Hmm.
now, of course, you've got your left side of the brain and your right side of the brain having these conversations. And of course, you're like, are you really serious? You want to leave all this? You work so hard.
Yeah.
You've earned that you were seeing in paper like 10 years ago when you started, and now you want to mess it up? What are you
Hmm.
doing? Those are the conversations that, left brain and right brain was having. But I guess one side won.
Yeah, there's always one side that's gonna win. And I love that your journey has been so rich. So much transition has happened. And I like how you describe the whole process of shifting from one industry into the other, led by, your heart, your dream. And so, what would you share with people that are wondering what it's like to transition? And, given where you are now, Fatma, you've transitioned now, not just from accounting to real estate, you're going into entrepreneurship, as in supporting other people to build their own businesses. Your career has been so full of transitions. And so, would you share with us just a little bit about what have you learned along the way when it comes to changing careers, changing roles? What would you tell your self if you were to start this up again?
Oh, it was challenging, but
Hmm.
I believe I had so much conviction in myself when I actually quit.
Mm.
I I really had made up my mind. And the interesting story behind that is I had a date that I had put on my calendar saying this is my last day.
Okay.
And when I went, that was in July, and I planned to quit in July, go on vacation, go home, visit family, and then come back in September and go full time. So my manager was like, would you stay and work part-time in your real estate and stay here? I said, no, I'm taking this very seriously. And if I'm going to be helping people with their biggest investment or one of their biggest investment, I can't be part-time. If
Hmm.
I need to, the job is going to be the one that's part-time. So she
Mm.
says, okay, how about we do this? Why don't you stay part-time with us? You tell us when you're coming.
Hmm.
You tell us if you want to do morning or afternoon. As long as we know you have, I don't know, 16 hours or 4 hours a day or whatever, you dictate when you want to come. Just tell us in advance.
Wow.
I was like, um, can I think about this? I wasn't expecting this. This is a couple.
Yeah.
Can I take this with me? And I'm like, okay, maybe this is a sign. God wants you to stay a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Maybe, um, so I thought about it, consulted with my family, and then came back and I said, okay, but I'm going on vacation until September. So what's gonna happen? She says, you go on vacation and then come back and you'll be here. I said, okay, that's fine, but I'm gonna do it until December. December
Hmm.
15th will be my last day.
Wow.
And I'm like, Fatma, what are you doing? Like, you really But that's how I was so determined. And again,
Yeah.
left brain says, are you sure you want to do this? Because you've gotten an opportunity to stay and you're throwing it
Hmm.
out again. But I was so determined. And I'm glad that I didn't want those shackles. I took the opportunity because I said, if God is giving me this, I'll take it. But I still have to have an end date. And I put that end date. And I came back in September, worked a bit. December 15th, I stopped working. And
Wow.
I believe it was January 4th of 2015, I started on a full-time basis at work. That is only 6 months between when I got my license to when I started full-time as a realtor.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is incredible. And I love that you had so much clarity about what exactly you wanted to do, that you were willing to negotiate with a stable income for something that was unpredictable. But you knew
Predictable.
very well that that's what you wanted to do, as well as you were clear on your values. You had to have that family time. The vacation was important to you. And I feel like sometimes a lot of us, when we're going through transition, it's obviously, things are very uncertain, but we forget to really ground ourselves on the values and lead with what our heart is telling us to do, which we know is the truth. Someone said, I did think it's a quote alongside the lines of, when you have a conviction and your intuition has told you something, everything else is negotiation. And it sounded like that was your case. Everything was negotiation after you had made up your mind that you want to go into real estate. Now, let's bring this conversation back to newcomers. When you first arrived in Canada, many years ago now, things are a bit different
Yes.
now.
Yes.
And it's amazing that you would be able to secure a job, it sounds like within a very short period of time.
Mm,
Currently, the job market is, it's very different and it's taking longer for people to find jobs in their careers, their
mm,
past careers. If, for instance, if they were accountants in Kenya, it takes a while for them to get into the same industry, maybe into the same level of work that they
mhm.
had. You've met so many newcomers and you've been able to support them. What advice would you give them, given just where you've been and what you're experiencing currently in those interactions?
Mhm. Well, I would say, um, I think two things. Know
Mm,
your value, be confident in what you have to offer. And I'll give this with an example. I started when I worked when I was being hired from the um, agency position and they took me full time. You know, the CFO says, you know what, Fatma, you've been great, but we do want to take you on. But you know what, you lack Canadian experience. I'm
mm,
sure that sounds familiar to many people. You lack Canadian experience. So, unfortunately, usually this position gives this much, but we're going to have to start you at this much because you don't have Canadian experience. And I
mhm,
said, what do you mean I don't have Canadian experience? I've worked here for 3 months. I'm good enough for you to actually pay the agency to take me on a full-time basis. I don't understand what you mean when you say I don't have Canadian experience. I'm good enough for you to hire me. Oh, I understand it's a cliche, but you know this and that. And I said, I don't understand why I shouldn't be paid market value.
mhm.
It's not like I'm new, you don't know how I'm working. I'm working well enough for you
Yep.
to want me to be here. So I ended up being paid what was the market value at that time or market price or whatever salary scale at that time. So in that position, I would say, know your value and stand for yourself and like what I did, I said no, like I wanted the job. I really did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I challenged him for what he was saying, and I
Hmm.
didn't accept it, right? So that's one position. And then Fast forward, I would say 10 years from there, I was working in another company. It was a contract position. And in that company, I a contract, um, I would say a year. And it's a payroll position where it's you have to be accurate and all that. So we had all these KPIs that we had monthly meetings, reviews with the manager and all that, and everything was good. My contract was renewed. Then a position came up. One person in my team went on maternity leave. And what happened? They started doing interviews for that
Mm.
position.
Right.
I was hurt. I didn't know what to do. And luck would have it that the director of human resources came on the ground and was talking to people and actually
Mm-hmm.
called us in a meeting. Even then, I was skeptical. Like everybody knew what was going on. They could see the manager was hiring. And at that point, um, a friend of mine nudged me, goes, tell her, this is your chance. So after
Mm-hmm.
everybody left, I stayed behind. I said, can I speak with you? She goes, yes, sure. I told her my situation. I've had no issues with my manager. We have monthly meetings. My KPIs are perfect. Everything is good. She's got nothing negative about me. But this is what's happening, and I'm not sure why I'm not being given this opportunity to get this job permanently. And I've been left on a contract basis, yet they're training or they're interviewing people from outside. She goes, oh, why would that be? I'll follow it up with that.
Mm-hmm.
After that, the manager came back to me and apologized and said, Fatma, I cannot even tell you why that happened. I don't know why we did that.
Mm-hmm.
And for that reason, myself and somebody else who had been on contract, we got hired full time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
So my advice is speak up.
mm,
Speak up. These are two situations where in the corporate world, I would have been maybe um, subsided in my growth because either I'm a new Canadian or in the other situation, I have no idea why. I have no idea why. The person that every month, every day sees me and interacts with me every month, you keep telling me I'm doing a great job, and now you're hiring or interviewing people in the same team that you could have offered me this position. So yeah, that would be my advice.
that is so wonderful. And thank you so much for sharing that because a lot of time I hear people complaining about what's going on at work. They're being passed over for promotions, they're not being recognized, but they're not using their voice. They're afraid of using their voice because it's you don't know what's going to happen. And so how I'm actually really quite curious to know how have you developed your or how did you develop your capacity to speak up at work? Like the confidence of what will happen if I speak up and things don't go the way I expect them to go.
Yeah, well, first time when I was negotiating my pay, it was just like I didn't have time to think about it. I just said it, right? But the second time, to be honest, I was scared of saying anything. Remember, I told you this person nudged me, say, speak, because I wasn't going
Yeah.
to speak.
Hmm.
I wasn't. I was afraid, right?
Right.
But despite that, I decided to take the opportunity because it had presented itself that the director is saying, if you have any issues, come and speak to me. And I'm like, I'm just a
Hmm.
contract person. She's not going to hear what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But that nudge was what I needed to encourage me to go and speak. I had no idea what was going to come out of it.
Yeah.
But the opportunity presented, had I not taken it, I would have been left in contract and somebody else would have come to come in and probably they might not even have renewed my contract after that because they already have somebody. I don't know, maybe. But the opportunity presented itself and I took the risk. I just did
Where
it.
you never know. So take a chance, speak up, use your voice. And yeah, again, you just really never know how things are going to unravel. And I like that it seems that you had developed good company in your workplace, that you had someone to, nudge you and tell you this is an opportunity. Could you share a bit more about what has shaped your career? What would you say is the values or the strengths or what have you that have supported you to grow in your career, to show up in your identity, grounded in your culture? What has, yeah, I'm gonna leave it there. What has really helped you to navigate the space as the person that you were?
Mhm. That's a good question. That's a good question because I have gone through that. Um, I've told you my experience in the corporate world and now going into real estate. Um, it was a different ball game. Remember,
Hmm.
I was excited. I was like, I'm doing this. I'm gonna crush it. I'm gonna help so many people. I had all these dreams and passion and all that. And I must say, it wasn't easy at the beginning. It wasn't easy at the beginning because um, I needed to be with people who had more experience and learn the job and it's not like um, where you have a mentor or you've done accounting or you've done IT or whatever, where you're given somebody, a manager, whatever, to be working with you. You're jumping in the deep end, right?
Yeah.
From the get-go. So I found that at the beginning, I wanted to follow what I was being told to do. And here's the thing, I'm like, I'm gonna follow everything they say so that one day I can tell somebody, you do what we are being taught because I did and I was successful and I want you to be successful. So I said, I'm
Yeah.
gonna follow the script so that one day I can tell somebody you can do it too. Well, it didn't work for me. It didn't work for me. I found that I lost myself in that process. I lost myself in that process. I was now following what people were telling me to do and leaving my intuition. My intuition
Yeah.
was you're going to meet people through networking and all that. And now I'm being told you're going to meet people through door knocking and call calling and all that. And that's fine. Did I get business out of that? Yes, I did. I was successful with getting business out of those means, but it wasn't me. It wasn't what
Right.
was my natural strength. So I
Mm-hmm.
lost myself in that process. And with
Mm-hmm.
that, went down my confidence, went
Mm-hmm.
down my drive. I felt like, it was just it was just not working for me until
Mm-hmm.
2020. Things just changed. And what changed for me was I didn't have to go to the office. I now had to work from home.
Yeah.
And I had read a book, a real estate book, and it said you in a nutshell, it was about know your niche and work with your
Mm.
niche.
Yeah.
And that was like the other light bulb that came on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's it. I need to know my niche. Who is my niche? Who's my client? Who is my ideal client? Who do I want to work with? I need to find that, you know?
Mm.
Um, so I started working on that. I started, I couldn't network at that time. But again, remember that out of the past 5 years, I'm still working and building my connections and all that. So the business was coming,
Yeah.
but I was somebody else all of a sudden.
Yeah.
I was somebody else all of a sudden. I was energetic. I was busy. I was crushing it. Like my team lead in 2021 comes to me and goes, Fatma, what happened? I said, what do you mean, what happened? Look at you, you're crushing it. I'm like, to be honest, Fatma became herself.
Mm,
That's all. Became myself.
that.
Fatma did what felt right for her. That's what happened.
Mm.
And
That
honestly,
is,
that's exactly what it is.
yeah. And it sounds so consistent from when you started the conversation. You know, your confidence, you're very clear about what your values are, what you're going to compromise on, what you're not going to compromise on. And, I asked you a question like, where does the confidence come from? And I think I'm hearing in this response that it's from being yourself. From being yourself liberates you to you know, to to be confident, to use your voice, not to hold back, to take up opportunities. And I find that a lot of times when newcomers come here, that's one of the things that we had to navigate is, are you good enough? Do you have to follow what other people tell you? Do you have to change who you are to get that job, to get that promotion, to stay on the job? And it's so validating and so refreshing to hear you say that actually your strength and what has helped you to navigate building a successful career in Canada is being your true self. Honoring that has opened doors for you. It's made you happier. It's made you, really successful. And yeah, thank you so much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
That is incredible. And now we're just gonna wrap the session here. And I would like to ask you to share with us, final thoughts about building a career, standing and being grounded in your identity, in your culture, in in a place that changes very, very much, very frequently sometimes. Society is always evolving and the workplace is shifting. The pandemic changed a lot of things for people, and really navigating that was challenging for a lot. So share with us your final thoughts about what you've learned so far about building a successful career.
What have I learned so far? Well, I think you have to have the grit. You have to want that success so badly. You have to be hungry for it. You have to be focused on getting it. Now, if it's a career, see where you can improve yourself, right? What am I lacking that the market wants, right? For me, when I came, don't have accounting softwares in Kenya, right? At that time, at least even if we did, I didn't have access to any of that stuff. So that's the first thing that I did. After 3 months of being here, I've kind of know my way around. How do I improve myself to make myself more marketable, right? So I would say that. And network, it opens your doors. It might be you might meet somebody who might mentor you or might say something to you that again would be like, why didn't I think about that? Oh, that's a good thing. Or somebody might say, you know what? I might be able to help you or get a job. So it, those are the things that I would say, increase your value in terms of what an employer is looking for. You have what they're looking for, what's in the market, what skill am I lacking? And sometimes even just, I don't know, at that point back then we would volunteer just so
Yeah.
you can get the experience, right?
Mhm.
Um, that's also the other thing that I would say. I don't know if those avenues are still open now, 20 something years later, but if they are, that's what's going to now say give you that Canadian experience that everybody should have is expected to have when they land here. So volunteering also would help get that experience, get to give you a sense of the culture, the Canadian workplace culture as well. It exposes you to those scenarios as well. So that's what I would advise.
That's great advice. And I will tell you, yes, it still does apply. And I am proof that it does because I volunteered for at least three organizations before I finally got before I finally got my, well, I would say job that I wanted to be in.
Mm.
So volunteering works, networking obviously is key. You and I met through LinkedIn.
Yes, we
So
did.
many years, we're still connected. You mentored me, Fatma. You really guided me and gave me the confidence to pursue my career. Very fresh. I think we must have met less than a month when I was very new in Canada. And so it's such a pleasure to see how, you know, your career has transitioned, how successful you've continued to be, and just how you poured into me, what you poured into me, how that has grown, is flourished. I'm now able to support other people, support, walking the same journey. So all that you've said is amazing, practical advice that still works to date.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. That I've been out of the corporate world for so long now, so that's good that it still works.
Yeah, it still works, and it's the marketplace, and things are always shifting. And I find that these are core principles, really. The networking, the volunteering, finding out where can you add value. Those are,
Mm.
they cut across their skills that you're going to need in any industry, whether you're working in the nonprofit industry or in the corporate sector. These are really things that every professional needs to be doing to grow and to thrive. And we're going to end it here, Fatma. It's been wonderful to have you here. Thank you so much for your time. And it's been an opportunity for me to reconnect with you. So I have really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank
Well,
you.
thank you. We are going to continue this conversation with more guests coming on and sharing what it means to build a successful career in Canada. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much and keep doing what you're doing. It's amazing.
Thank you.